In 5 years, you'll come back and pay £50 million. That sentence was spoken in a cramped office at Chelsea in May 2011 by Fayza Lamari, Kylian Mbappe's mother, to a translator. The translator, Daniel Boga, heard it and froze. He later admitted, "I couldn't say that. It's too arrogant." So he softened it. Paradox, Chelsea asked for a second trial, but the woman who knew her son best refused. Promise, this video will follow that single unsaid sentence, how a translator's mercy, a mother's certainty, and two of the world's biggest clubs all misread the future of a 12-year-old. By the end, you'll see why the truth Fayza spoke mattered more than the numbers anyone else focused on. But first, a 7-0 result from an academy friendly will make you question everything. Who was in that room? A 12-year-old Kylian Mbappé, nervous but brilliant on the pitch. A calm father, Wilfried, quietly attentive. And Fayza Lamari, fiery, loud, and decisive. Chelsea brought the boy from Bondi for a 4-day trial. They watched him play in an academy match against Charlton. The scoreboard read 7-0. He dazzled. Chelsea asked for a second trial. What made Mbappe special then was already obvious. Lightning first touch, balance, and that acceleration that makes angles collapse. Yet scouts flagged a worrying trait: he didn't press enough. When he lost the ball, he stopped playing. In the English academy model, defensive work rate mattered as much as flair. So the stakes were enormous. Sign a potential generational talent who might later become tactically different, or pass and lose him forever. The paradox is this: Fayza, the mother everyone later credited for shaping Mbappe's mentality, knew something the clubs didn't. She made a call, and she voiced a prediction that was almost cinematic. The translator chose decorum over literal truth. That single decision slowed down a chain of events that would echo for 14 years. Open loop planted. What exactly did Fayza say that Boga decided not to translate, and how did that alter Mbappe's path? The year was 2011. In the 2010-11 season, Chelsea's academy was hunting prospects to fit a physical, pressing Premier League template. England's youth system prized relentless work rate and robustness. Meanwhile, in Madrid, Zinedine Zidane, then head of recruitment for Castilla and later a key voice in the first team, was scouting across France and Europe, weighing raw talent against physical projection. Specifics anchor us. The permission letter from AS Bondi, dated May 17, 2011 and published later by The Athletic, confirmed Mbappe's 4-day trial. In that same month, Chelsea's academy scheduling included fixtures like the Charlton friendly, where the 12-year-old starred. Chelsea's feedback was precise. "We want to see his defensive work. When he loses the ball, he stops." It was not aesthetic criticism. It was a tactical red flag in an era when English academies demanded pressing and transition defense. In 2012, Madrid invited him to Valdebebas. Zidane's delegation inspected him personally. They noted, physically, he was very slim and small. At 12 to 13, it's very hard to know if he will make it. Those words were not subjective praise or dismissal. They were the language of projection and risk assessment in youth recruitment, with millions on the line if projections were wrong. So the environment was unforgiving. Clubs wanted immediate fit or a clear projection of future fit. Mbappe fell into a gray zone. Kylian Mbappé came from Bondy, a northeastern suburb of Paris, a place that produced talent but also hardened young lives. Bondy's pitches were smaller, knowledge more practical. Tight spaces, fast decisions, and a mother who did not merely support, she managed. The detail that surprises many, the permission slip that sent Mbappe to Chelsea was formal, a typed document with an AS Bondi stamp on May 17, 2011. That bureaucratic specificity matters because it proves the trial was official, not anecdotal. First signs of genius were obvious even then. Daniel Boga, the translator present at Chelsea, later told The Athletic he was skillful as he is now. In the Charlton match, the scoreboard read 7-0. A 12-year-old in a 7-0 academy win is not the same as a senior star stealing headlines. The scale is smaller, but the technical signs were already there. First touch, body lean, millisecond choices. He moved like someone who had internalized tricky spatial solutions. Yet, another early sign was behavioral. Scouts noted inconsistency in defensive effort. The English model at that time demanded immediate adaptation to pressing lines. Chelsea wrote back, "We need to see that part of his game." That sentence carried weight. It effectively priced him out unless the family committed to an adaptation process. For the Lamari household, the calculus was different. Fayza's role was decisive long before the big money transfers. She was the negotiator, the motivator, and sometimes the brutal realist. Daniel Boga described the family dynamic succinctly. The father is very calm, the mother is like fire, bam, bam, bam. While Wilfried offered measured technical comments, Fayza shouted instructions from a touchline. Kylian, take the ball. Go at him. She shaped his aggression, honed his intent. The pivotal moment came after the Chelsea trial. Chelsea requested a second trial. That request functioned as a lever. Accept and commit to a longer integration, refuse and risk closure. Fayza refused, not out of pride, but out of calculation. She believed in her son's trajectory and the timing of a decision. In that meeting, she made a statement in French. The translator heard the sentence that would become the hinge for everything that followed. He chose not to translate it literally. He called it too arrogant. He told Jim, the Chelsea official, that perhaps they wouldn't come back and that a decision must be made now. That omission is a tiny cinematic detail with gargantuan consequences. Chelsea thought they had time. The family thought differently. And a small procedural act, the translator's choice, blurred the club's understanding. After Bondi, after the Chelsea and Madrid whispers, Mbappé moved through the French system with a trajectory that rapidly accelerated. He joined Monaco's youth setup. The stats begin to stack. In the 2015-16 League One season, a 17-year-old Mbappé scored 15 goals in 29 appearances for Monaco, a figure that immediately forced the world to take a different kind of note. De facto, 15 goals in 29 matches at age 17 in a top European league is a statistic that rewrites projection models. Key moments that underscore his rise. 2015-16 League One breakout. Monaco finished 2016 champions. Mbappe's contributions were quantifiable. 15 goals, multiple assists, and decisive performances in matches against Marseille, 2-0 on May 1, 2016, in which Monaco secured momentum for the title run. Those numbers made scouts who once fretted about pressing reassess the cost of passing on him. 2016-17 Champions League semi-final run. Monaco reached the semis. Mbappe's speed and finishing turned defenses into backpedaling footage. In the tie versus Manchester City, 3-3 on aggregate, Monaco advanced by away goals in the previous rounds. His explosive outings against Europe's best showed he could affect elite games. This was not just youth brilliance, it was confrontation with top-level tactical systems. 2017 transfer to PSG, initially a loan, then permanent. PSG paid a reported package around €180 million in 2017-18 when activating the permanent move, a watershed valuation that historicized the earlier rejections. At PSG, he scored 33 goals in 29 League One appearances in the 2019-20 season timeframe. Across different competitions, his totals were staggering. And for France in the 2018 World Cup, he netted 4 goals, including a dramatic semi-final performance and a final that helped lift Les Bleus to the trophy. The World Cup statistics, for goals at age 19, provided concrete proof to anyone who had doubts. Throughout these peak years, opponents often looked amateurish when faced with Mbappe's combination of top speed, spatial intelligence, and clinical finishing. He forced tactical adjustments. Teams set a deeper line, changed wingbacks into markers, or employed double covers. The tactical responses created space for teammates, a multiplier effect quantifiable in assists and chance creation. He didn't need to press in the way English academies demanded. He stretched defenses into shapes that created offensive edges. Here's the cinematic irony. The very traits that English scouts flagged, his finishing focus, his occasional passivity after a lost possession, were the byproduct of an attacker oriented to maximal offensive impact. Where English academies judge work rate as the primary metric of future success, Mbappe's trajectory proved another metric, match impact per action. When he was on the ball, games shifted. 2 specific matches highlight they made them look amateur claim. France versus Argentina, 2018 World Cup, round of 16. Mbappe's burst, including key runs that led to goals and a composed finish, changed the tie. Final score 4-3. Mbappe tallied a goal and a constant threat. PSG versus Barcelona, Champions League 2021. While the tie had other narratives, Mbappe's runs repeatedly split Barcelona's center-backs, producing high-quality chances and forcing Barca to alter their shape. Numbers matter. By age 21, Mbappe had already accumulated double-digit goals in multiple seasons, a World Cup, and a transfer valuation that soared into the hundreds of millions, the sort of figures that retrospectively made Chelsea's caution look questionable and Madrid's projection error more tragicomic. And yet, even with those stats, the most cinematic beat is still a single line that was never translated in Chelsea's office. That omission sits like a shadow over the peak. The turning point was not a single match. It was a cascade of decisions, misreads, and institutional risk aversion, all catalyzed by that one moment in 2011. Chelsea's feedback focused on defensive engagement. They asked for a second trial. That request conveyed an openness, but also a demand: conform to our model. Fayza said no. The translator, Daniel Boga, confessed later, "I couldn't say that. It's too arrogant. So I told Jim, I think they won't come back, so you have to make a decision now." He intentionally softened Fayza's prediction. Why does that matter? Because clubs operate on signals. Apparent certainty, said bluntly, alters risk calculations. Boga's self-censoring removed a piece of information that might have forced a different decision. Fayza's belief that time would compress the market, that Mbappe's value would explode. Then Madrid did something eerily similar. In 2012, Zidane personally escorted the young player to Valdebebas. Coaches and scouts again hesitated. Physically, he was very slim and small. At 12 to 13, it's very hard to know if he will arrive. Madrid's decision not to sign was not negligence, but a projection based on anthropometric data and long-term maturation models. In both cases, the clubs treated the boy as a probabilistic project. But this complication is more complex. It is not that they were wrong to worry about physical projection. Many hopeful talents fail to reach elite physiques and tactical versatility. The real complication is that the clubs were using the wrong single-axis metric, projection based on size and pressing for a player whose primary value was raw, immutable speed, and a predatory attacking instinct. In short, they misspecified the success function. And then the irony compounded. By 2024, Kylian Mbappé left Paris Saint-Germain to join Real Madrid on a free transfer. After a decade of top-level output, World Cup glory, seasons with 30-plus goal contributions, he arrived at the Bernabeu without a transfer fee. The clubs that once hesitated had all the data. They just hadn't acted at the crucial moments. So the chain reads: a refusal of a second trial, a translator's omission, a club's tactical filter, and a parallel projection error at Madrid. Together, they produced a landscape where two of the biggest clubs in world football said no to a boy who would later arrive as arguably the premium free asset in world football. The decisive scene is not a single match, but a contractual finale. Mbappé left PSG in 2024 and signed for Real Madrid on a free transfer. The result: the boy Chelsea and Madrid once passed on arrived at the Bernabeu with no transfer fee, an outcome that rewrote the economic expectations of both clubs. This resolves the open loop planted earlier. Fayza's unsaid sentence predicted that Chelsea would come back with a demand of £50 million. Chelsea never returned. The number was off. The truth was not. Instead of paying £50 million in a rushed panic, the elite clubs allowed time and institutional caution to turn into an opportunity for Madrid, but only after a long, winding route that ended with no fee paid. The translator's choice sits at the cinematic center. Daniel Boga's confession, "I couldn't say that," transformed a raw parental claim into window dressing. If Chelsea had heard the full force of Fayza's words, would urgency have produced a different contractual posture? We can't replay reality. What we can say is this: two of the world's biggest clubs judged Mbappé by dimensions he later transcended. He arrived at their door once more in 2024, older, proven, expensive in reputation, but free in transfer. The cost: for the clubs, lost leverage and a decade of bargaining power. For football, a reminder: metrics and models are imperfect filters of human potential. The lesson is precise, not moralizing. Talent assessment is a prediction problem plagued by model error. Fayza Lamari's untranslated sentence mattered because it revealed a different epistemology, intimate certainty that outlived institutional caution. Her prediction was accurate in spirit. The world would come back, but wrong in arithmetic. The translator's human choice, to shield a club from an arrogant line, became fulcrum. Where does this story sit in football history? It's a parable about how football institutions evaluate risk and how a single human moment, a mother's blunt forecast, a translator's softening, can pivot decades. It reframes the Mbappé myth, not only a superstar forged by talent and environment, but also by a family that controlled the narrative, sometimes by withholding it. What do you think? Was Fayza right to refuse the second trial? Would Chelsea or Madrid have paid then? Or was patience the only realistic route? Tell me in the comments which decision you think cost the clubs most, or whether the real error was in the scouting models themselves.